we're going to be welcoming Erick Gray to Black Authors Matter TV, and he has a brand new book out. And today is the release day, so we want to wish him a happy release day for his book, which is called Solomon Dark. I see your hand and all the lines. You know, if I was a palm reader, I would be able to read your future with your with your put pull your screen down just a little bit.
Can you hear us?
We can't hear you because you muted.
Well,
Unmute.
Yeah, unmute and then pull your screen down a little bit more.
Just a little bit.
You hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome back to the show.
I'm glad to be back.
You were on, was it like a year ago, something like that? Or maybe not even.
I believe it was sometime in, was it April, March?
Of this year?
Yeah, it was like,
we have so many guests and so many shows that
that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to keep track of everything. So welcome to the show and happy book release day for Solomon Dark. And do you have a copy of your book with you?
Yes, I do. You know, I had to keep a copy.
Okay, all right, wonderful. So I know you are under the Black Odyssey Media umbrella, and this is your second book under that umbrella, as from my understanding. Is that correct?
Yes, my second book. My first book was Gun.
Right.
Came out October last year.
Right. And you write about supernatural or superheroes or supernatural activities in the African American community, but you do it historically. So you might go back to the Jim Crow era or the 1800s and up to the 1970s. So tell us about the new book, Solomon Dark.
Okay, well, Solomon Dark is my very first vampire novel. Very first one.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm trying my hand into different things, and Solomon Dark is something I've been yearning to write for a while now. It's about a young slave, Solomon. It takes place in 1850 South Carolina. He's a slave on a plantation. He's married. He's in love to Irene, very beautiful young Black woman, and he just had this warrior spirit where he just say he's not meant to be a slave. His biggest fear in the book is losing Irene. And you know, as a Black man and a slave, he can't protect her the way he wants to protect her.
Right.
You know? Right. So he just feels like he's trying to encourage Irene to run north with him. But she has that mentality like, well, we're better off here because if we went north and we're captured, I might lose you. But he's like, I might lose you anyway because I have no control here. We're married, but we are both slaves to master. Anyway, I'm not going to tell the whole story, but anyway, bad stuff happened. They end up being separated. She sold off because of his actions, and he goes after her, and he's captured. And as he's captured, he has help from ancient slave named Akasha. Akasha promised him power, revenge, you know, true freedom, but you have to become this unnatural being. So in order to find Irene again, he accepts the it's like he accepts the devil's contract, like, you know, and then not knowing what comes of it, you know.
Okay.
And it just goes like, I mean, the book, it just goes way left, man. It's bloodshed, it's romance, it's uprising, it's historical, it's everything in this book.
Loving the layers. I mean, it sounds like a story within a story within a story.
Yes.
And the Interview with a Vampire was based in the South in terms of, it was New Orleans, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, it was in New
Orleans.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it began in New Orleans, and then I like how they travel from city to city, and
they did.
Yes,
it's a scary movie. I've seen it, but I'm scared to watch it again. Every time
Yeah.
it's like on the guide, I'm like, do I really know? It's really good. It's really well done.
Fun fact, the author who wrote Interview with the Vampire, Anne Rice, had a home on St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, and we would drive past her house all the time when I was going to Loyola University, and she would always have a huge Halloween party at her home, and you would see people coming from all over the place going to this party. So she was really into that.
She was living it.
Yes.
Living the fiction. Yeah. That's kind of like the movie The Exorcist was filmed on Georgetown University's campus. And that's where I went to school.
I'm not climbing up those steps. We've gone to those steps.
The Exorcist steps. When I was, we called them the Exorcist steps. Yeah. And we wouldn't even walk on the same side of the street. Once you got to, we were scared. We crossed the street. Those Exorcist steps were famous. And it was kind of creepy. You know, it had a spiritual component to it. You know, things can take on a spiritual meaning when you embrace whatever the narrative is, the storyline.
Right. And that kind of brings me to the question I was going to ask Erick, because I feel like writing such a dark story with so many layers, did you feel you had to go to almost a dark place in order to really get into this story?
Actually, yes, I did. Well, when I started writing the story, like I said, I did a lot of reading, I did a lot of research, but then I went back and started watching movies like Roots, 12 Years a Slave, and everything, because I wanted to get the character's feel of slavery and how brutal it was, and but then, well, the more homework, the more I did, it was like it was like a rabbit hole. It's like you read so much, and every time you think you know, but you don't know, you learn. You're like, wow, wow. And it was like so. Even when I wrote researched this Atlantic slave trade and how they was shackled and how they was treated, and you read about it, you heard about it, but when you do a deep dive into that, how they was treated, how they was branded, how they was force fed, and how the woman was raped, and young guys 12, 13 years old. You're like, wow. And so there was times I was writing this book, it was just breaking me down, like, shoot, because you gotta think about it. Like I said, I have to become every character in this book. So I have to become the master. I have to become the slave patrollers and the overseers and the young black woman and older black woman. So I have to think like these characters. And
that's true.
I think this book has nigga in it so many times more than Quentin Tarantino's novel. Like, because yeah, because that was
the way they talked.
Yeah, nigga, and you were like, wow, and that's why they treated us like that. So it was a deep dark dive, man. It took me, I think it took me 6-7 months to make this book. About that, 6-7 months.
Well, why did you feel that you wanted to write this book?
Honestly, I was watching. Well, I think I was watching a show on FX. It was a slave show. I think it was called the Underground Railroad, but it was about an Underground Railroad. It was like they took
Underground.
No, not Underground. It's a show on FX. I think it's FX or Hulu, and it's called the Underground Railroad. And literally, it's it's slavery, but it's a fictional show where literally there's an Underground Railroad for slaves to sleep in. They took it for Harry Tubman figuratively and made it literally for her to be in a railroad, for them to be a railroad. And I watched some scene and I got pissed off. And I got pissed off because I'm like, man, when I go back into when I watch Roots and all these shows, I get like, the way we was treated and mistreated and tortured and families just torn apart. Yeah. And I was like, man, I wanted to write something that was that could gave us some power back. Even though it was a vampire, I wanted to write something that gave the black slaves power, authority over the circumstances.
Okay. And I love that idea. I mean, you know, it's almost a reimagining of history. So you're presenting history, but you want them to have a victory at the end. Everything doesn't have to be a sad
That's that
story,
story,
Yeah.
right,
and so forth.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So I just because I was like, so I wanted to just write something that was just like we wasn't so weak and docile, and where there's a character in this story that really fights back, that just really has the authority, have the ability, have the power to f shit up, you know, because and when I watched what you call it, Birth of a Nation with the Nat Turner thing. I was like,
Mhm.
wow, that was a powerful movie because even though
It was.
it was suppressed, it showed that how when you get united and everybody just fed up and we just want the same thing, how dangerous we could be and how victorious in them thing. So I want to write something like that, and it pretty much it's just like a uprising of vampires, black vampires, and think about how dangerous that is, especially to white America. Like, wow, ain't no stopping them. But
Very. So is Solomon Dark the only vampire other than the person who makes him into a vampire or the vampire that turns him into a vampire?
nah.
But
Um,
does
no,
he create other
yes,
vampires?
create more vampires. And
Okay.
my like I did a deep dive on vampires too. I read books. I was reading online stuff. I watched a few movies, and every vampire story is different. Everybody vampires not the same. You have vampires that I've seen in Twilight that glows in the daylight. Like what the hell? But that's her story. You know. You got some vampires that are very powerful, like godlike, and some that are like in Blade, they have abilities, but they're not. They still could be killed. So every
Okay.
vampire is different.
Have you seen
My,
Blackula?
I've seen that movie a long time ago. That's an old movie in the '70s.
A
Yeah,
It
really old
is.
movie.
It is. But it's scary too.
you know what?
You just don't like scary movies.
No, I do. I like them, but they scare me. What is that?
Yeah, a lot of people like it didn't scare me. I don't know. A lot of people I say, yo, that was a scary movie. Like what? Like back. Like, I mean, he was a scary character. I ain't gonna lie. That was a scary black dude, man. He had the fro, the
Yeah.
top. Like
And he had
wow.
the voice too.
He had the voice
Yeah.
too. Yeah. I always wanted them to do that movie over again, man. I mean, they did it with Eddie Murphy, with Vampire,
Oh,
but
that
it's
was
not.
so different.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Uh,
It wasn't the
I'd like
same.
to see it actually because when Eddie Murphy did, he made it into a comedy, of
The
course. I
comedy,
would
yeah.
love to see them redo the movie and make it that
yeah,
dark, really scary movie.
it wasn't anything funny in Blackula.
Especially
Mm-mm.
with the effects they have today and stories they could tell. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
They
they
had a
could.
sequel. I don't know if the sequel's not as well known, but they
I
had a
didn't know.
sequel to it. Okay, see, it was Scream, Blackula Scream.
Oh,
Oh,
And they
okay.
brought back, they used his ashes from the first Blackula. And there was like in the beginning, there's some like voodoo. And then he comes back to life using his
okay.
ashes and an incantation. Um, that one, they're both scary.
Yeah.
But it's the book is already written. Now, is this gonna be a standalone book?
Nah, I plan
This
on
one
writing a whole
we have the
trilogy.
vampires coming back,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna ask the same thing. Now that you've written this book, do you
and you've
feel
done
like
all
you're
this
kind of in
research,
this, huh?
and he's done all this research.
Yeah, I'm
oh,
like,
yeah.
I mean, is it going to be a sequel to it,
Yeah.
or are you like in this thriller genre to stay, do you
Well,
think?
I'm doing well. The Solomon is going to be a trilogy.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I already have the sequel planned out. It takes place in the 1920s with the Italian mafia, the 1920s, and then I'm gonna do a part three. But overall, I'm creating a universe with these characters. Like Gunn, like I said, was the catalyst for that
Mm.
supernatural world, and then I have Solomon Dog, and then I've recently finished writing Bronco. Bronco take place in the 1940s and 50s, and I don't know if I said it before, but Bronco is a Luke Cage character
Okay.
he's a World War II war veteran with PTSD, indestructible, but he has visions of the dead. He's like The Sixth Sense, and he's more like a mercenary for the lost black soul that have never received justice, and they come to him as like he's a mercenary. So like it's like when Emmett Till, his spirit will haunt Bronco for justice,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm gonna do a spoiler alert because this is my story. So in the Bronco, I actually get justice for Emmett Till. I killed off the main two characters that killed him in my book.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, at least it happened somewhere.
Yeah, because you know what, and I said if Quentin Tarantino could do it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I said why not? I mean, hey. So I mean, the family want to come after me, I give them a middle finger.
Yeah, yeah. We can create
You
our own
know,
narratives and our
yeah,
own worlds, and then it helps empower some people, to have people thinking outside the box. They don't have to be in a box. They don't have to
yeah.
be
Uh,
limited.
We can't change time, but we could rewrite it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. And
So
inspire. So the
yeah.
Solomon Dark Part 2, is it going to be called, what is it going to, you have a title for it?
I don't have a title for it yet.
Okay. Okay. But
Yeah.
but he comes back.
He come
Or
back. He
or
come back.
but he's okay, we don't want to do a spoiler on the first book. But so he's a recurring character in it.
Yeah, he's gonna be because I like his character. I like his character. I like all my characters, but I like
Yeah,
his character.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
he's my
and
first vampire character, so I'm gonna keep bringing him back.
yeah, I know. The feeling of really liking to write a particular character. It's fun.
Yeah,
It's satisfying or gratifying, whichever word is appropriate for that.
Right.
yeah,
So it's to write the character, the person, the way you want to see them, not the way that they are, or even the way other people might see them. Oh, you did the mute. You muted.
bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So was Gun your first book published? I can't remember from the last interview we did.
Yeah, it's my first book published with like Odyssey. My very first book, my first urban supernatural published with them.
Okay.
Solomon Dog is my second.
Okay.
My third will be I'm looking forward to publishing Bronco.
Okay.
That's already written finished. I wrote that I finished it a few weeks ago. So
Okay.
that's my third. And after that, I have
You've
another
been
main.
writing somebody, huh, Eric?
Yeah, that's what I love to do. Then Zion, I'm gonna write. I'm doing outline for Zion now. Zion is a werewolf novel.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, that's a Zion. So yeah.
How do you find your time to write? I love asking this question, especially to people who crank out books like you do. Do you write full time?
Yeah, I do write full time. But for me, sometimes the best time for me to write is early in the morning. I take my daughter to camp because she's at camp now, or take her to school when she's in school. And I come home and I make me a cup of coffee and I just log onto my laptop and then I write pretty much all morning. Don't eat breakfast, just drink coffee and just sit there and write and take a break, do what I gotta do for the day. And then if I got time that night, everything quiet, I start doing something that night. I think the best time for
You
me,
write all day, all throughout the day.
well, if I could, I would, but most times I think my time is early in the morning from like maybe 8 to noon, 8 to 11, and then at night I'll probably from like 7, 8 to like maybe 11 o'clock at night. If I'm not too tired during the day. But yeah, and if my day is slow, I might squeeze it some time to do some chapters. Or I do a lot of reading too, so I read a lot of books right now. I just finished reading. John Grisham book, The Rogue Lawyer, which is pretty cool. So
Okay.
Have I
yeah,
read that one? I read a
yeah, so,
lot of John Grisham books. He's
yeah,
probably the
Yeah.
author I've read the most.
yeah, yeah.
I
John
And
like
he's
it.
written
Grisham,
a lot of books too. He's written a
yeah, he
lot of
got a lot of books. I mean, him. James Patterson. I read his books. I read Donald Goines books. Who else I love to read? Michael Bajan, and you got what's his name? Devil in the Blue Dress. Arthur Mosley.
Hmm.
I read all of them. What's the other thing? Go Tell It to the Mountain. I like to read old stories too that take place in the 60s, 70s. Because it seems like I just finished this book by Guy Johnson. That's Maya Angelou's son.
That's his two books are
Yeah,
in my top 20 list
yeah.
of all
What's it?
time.
Stand at the
Standing
scratch
at the
line.
scratch line.
Woo, boy, that King
And
Charlie Brown, man, you be like,
yeah,
yo,
he's off the chain.
he
And
goes.
the sequel, did you read the sequel?
I haven't started. I've got the book here, and it's about
Okay.
that big. And I said, I'm gonna start it
It
right this
is.
time. I was like, he writes
It
some
is.
big books.
Both of his
Yo,
books, and those are the only two books he wrote, but they were
when
both
he did,
excellent. Both excellent.
excellent book. The way he
Echoes
tells
of a
the
Distant Summer. That's the second one.
yeah,
Echoes of a Distant Summer.
the way he tells the story, so descriptive, character development. I
Uh,
mean, he just be like, me and my homeboy were like, oh, they should make this into like a series, man, or something like
it would
like
be. I read those books. It's been probably close to 20 years ago when they
yeah,
came out.
yeah, because
Um,
he published what in the 80s, early 80s. He came out, yeah.
no, I think it's more like the 90s. But
Uh,
anyway, it's been a while
yeah.
since they came out. Excellent books, and I guess they're still available. Um, but those two, and I hate that he didn't write anymore. But maybe that was all he had, because he
Um,
put a lot in those
he
books.
put
I
There's
a
mean,
also
lot into
some
those two
pressure when you
books.
look at the bloodline.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, he
yeah,
put a lot into those books. I said, "Wow,
he, he,
this
he
man can write." I mean, he got look at
yes,
his mama was Maya Angelou. I mean,
right,
Right.
like,
yeah,
Like I
but
said, there's some pressure. Like
yeah,
everybody expects Bronny to be great because LeBron was great.
the reason why I'm talking
Everybody
about
expected Michael Jordan's son to
yeah,
be great, and he doesn't even touch the basketball.
yeah. Sometimes them genes might skip a generation.
yeah. Or it's hard to compete with your dad.
Yeah, especially
Especially
yeah,
when they like a high performing
all right, yeah,
person, like at the peak, like the best, almost among the best in the world at what they're doing.
yeah.
That's tough. It's almost like why even try? Because it's better to like make your mark somewhere else. Almost, because you're always going to be compared to them.
Right,
And
right.
then you gotta ask the question like with Bron, they like, oh, it's nepotism. He wasn't being it. So I think it's always best to find your own way. If your heart ain't to what your parents did, then don't do it. 'Cause
Yeah,
sometimes
your
I think
heart
kids
needs to
feel,
be in it.
yeah, I think kids feel pressure to do what their parents did. Like, well, listen, if your heart, if it ain't meant to be, leave it alone because you're gonna embarrass yourself. So, I
Yeah, and
used,
you don't want to have a low self-esteem because of it,
yeah, yeah.
because the comparison is going to be a natural thing for people to do.
You want to be compared to your parents. So
Yeah. Now tell me about, you said it's a show called Underground Railroad. Rhonda, have you heard of it? I heard of Underground, but I
yeah,
hadn't heard it. You
I know
said it's
underground. Yeah, it's underground. But this show, I might not be saying the name wrong, but it was it was one season, and it came out a few years ago, and it was about it was about slavery, but it was fictional. What I mean fictional mean was it felt like it was an alternate universe because it was just as brutal. Because there was one thing with North Carolina, there was no black folks allowed in North Carolina at all. So it
Wow.
was it was like no black people was not allowed in North Carolina. I don't care if
in
you're a
the
slave or
movie.
not. You know,
Was it that?
it's a
Was it
TV
that?
show, and it literally
I mean, the TV show. Was
it's
it
a TV
that
show.
show with Regina King that Regina King was behind?
No, it wasn't Regina King. She wasn't in it. And this show, they literally had a railroad underground for to help escape black slaves. Underground it was a train, and I was like, wow. They took that really to the next level.
They were trying to make Portia Williams feel good by putting that railroad underground.
I'm sure you can pull it up.
You know, the
'Cause-
lady
Yeah,
from
because I'm trying to figure out what if it's that something Crest something.
let me see.
There was one season, but I thought it had Virginia King in it. Was it something called Love Crest?
I don't know. I don't know.
It might, it might be
My
the same thing.
boyfriend fusses at me all the time because I don't watch enough movies.
Oh, well, no, this was a show.
Well, I
Oh,
don't watch.
it's called The Underground Railroad. It came out in
Oh,
2020.
Okay, we'll have to
and it's
look
on
at it.
Hulu. You said it's on Hulu?
It's on Amazon Prime now, but it's
Oh,
called
see,
The
I don't have
Underground
Prime.
Railroad.
Okay, I don't have
It's a
Prime.
mini, it's a mini series, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good, man. It was
Okay,
very
I
brutal.
saw
And,
something about that. But
yeah,
I don't have Amazon Prime. I don't want it. What I do once a year, they offer the 30-day free trial, and
yeah.
I use that and I watch whatever. I keep a list of the things I'm gonna watch when I do the trial.
Oh no,
Okay, good.
I have almost all of the movie streaming
All the
services.
streamings.
Yeah, so
I have
I like to
Netflix
have a
and
choice. I
Hulu.
don't watch all the movies, but if something's coming on, I like to be able to turn it on and watch it. I
Right
don't want to
there.
be like, oh, I gotta wait until I subscribe to this. I just
It
want to
just
turn it on and watch
it used to be it was a book written by Colson Whitehead. It was a book,
Oh,
published book.
okay, yeah, based on his book. Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're
it.
talking about.
Unfortunately, are we gonna stay? Are we gonna keep
We
on a
keep
little bit longer?
we'll do 5 extra minutes and then we'll talk about the books before our next guest comes on. We
Yeah.
get a little bit longer because our second guest had a wasn't able to come on.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we
okay.
can talk to you a little bit longer.
Hey, no, hey, I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Well, so I mean, getting back to your book, so you know your release day is today for
Solomon Dog,
yes, and then you say you just finished writing your next book. Is
Bronco,
that going? Huh?
Bronco.
Yes. Is that one going through the editing process already, or are you done with that as well?
I'm done with that now. I just finished writing a book, so right now, literally, I'm like a free agent. So I could self-publish it, or I could pitch it to a publishing company.
Okay.
So I'm like really, literally like up in the air. So I could put it on ebook. So either I'm gonna go independent, or I'm gonna see if I'm gonna pitch it to the publisher, see if they're ready to accept it, take it. But yeah. So, but that book is 95,000 words. It's a big book, man.
Right. Is
I
that?
don't know.
Hefty,
Uh,
hefty, hefty is a hefty size,
and
but
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
not
Listen,
too long.
Well,
when I write, I'm just zoning out. I look like, oh shit,
how do
this
you
book.
feel about that? Because I know a lot of authors are moving toward writing shorter books now. So sometimes it's really surprising when we see an author who's still writing longer books. Was that a conscious decision to make it that long?
Nah, it wasn't no conscious decision. It's just a story writes itself. I'm like, it do, because I tell myself I'm gonna try to keep it short, and I try to keep it short. I try to keep it 70,000 words, 75. But then the story just loses. So it's just then I don't pay attention to the word count. I might happen to check the word count. Like, damn, I'm already at 70,000. Shoot, and I'm not even there yet.
Yeah,
So I'm, you
it's
know,
called
like, I'm
writing
not.
it until it's done.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm not gonna cut it short because so like
well, that's the
gun was a
benefit of being indie too, it- going
yeah.
that route sometimes. Uh, because sometimes unless you're really well established, where people will accept a longer story, a lot of
Yeah.
times they try to keep it within that.
But
They've
you got
done research and they say that they have focus groups and all kinds of money
I
to
noticed that
do the research.
you made this book a hardcover.
nah, it's not
No,
it's soft
Okay.
cover. Yeah.
it was
Okay.
just shiny.
Yeah, it was just shiny. No, because a
Yeah.
lot of times with longer books, people like to make them hardcover. So I was just wondering if you had done that.
Nah, I think the last hardcover book I had was And that's because it was published to I forgot, but it was Nasty Girl Tastes Like Candy. It was both hardcover and it was paperback. But that was years ago. I don't think they do well, not for if you ain't like established James Patterson or Michael Connolly, hardback is hard to sell because them books are expensive. You know, black
They're
folks like, man,
very expensive.
I ain't trying to pay no 25 for no book, no 20.
Well, they're 30 now.
Word.
People are
more
charging
than that.
25 for paperbacks these days.
Yeah, I see that.
Um,
I'm like,
but most
I
of the hardcovers by the big publishers are $30,
yeah,
or more,
they
depending.
more, they up there. Like, jeez, man,
Yeah,
you gotta really be a fan because I'm like, man, listen. And then you got to think about it, you got audiobooks, you got ebooks, you
yeah,
know. So it's like you could get the books. If so many platforms to read it on, it's like, I mean, you got to be really, really down fan that collect novels to pay that much
yeah.
for a book nowadays. Because I'm not paying that much for no book unless it's like the last hardcore book I bought was Robert Greene what's this called The Art of Human Nature, something like that. Yeah, that was the last hardcover book I bought. You know, it was a good read. But yeah, don't shoot, man. Times change, man. It's like shoot.
Yeah,
Oh man.
inflation kicked in with these books because before COVID they were $28,
Yeah, even paperback.
25,
I remember
25 to 28 on the hardcovers, and now they're
Did you
28
see
to
what Tommy
32.
Benita said?
No,
yeah,
She said she would pay
a
up to
real reader
$30.
will pay $30.
yeah.
Yeah,
Even
but
paperback. I remember
real readers are not like they're not on every corner. You know,
yeah.
They're not like us. They're not like
almost.
us.
No, I'm just saying I'm a real reader, and I will pay that. But because I'm in the book business, I get our books at the store discount. So when I
Yeah,
get a hardcover, I'm not paying the list price.
yeah. So
So
I
praise
remember
the
back
Lord.
then, paperback back then was a 14,
Yeah,
14.95
paperbacks used to be $12.
dollars, 13.
Or I
Now
mean
them pick up
the trade size and the little small one, the mass market used to be $5.99.
5.99. Yeah,
Yeah.
now I think paperbacks like 16, 17 dollars. I'm like,
Yeah,
geez, man.
yeah.
Oh,
And so things have changed. Well, Eric, thank you so much for being a guest. Show us your book cover again for
yeah, no
Solomon
problem.
Dodd.
Solomon Dog,
It sounds like
available
a
now.
very interesting
Um,
story.
it is. It's not a big book. This book is about 265 pages, so it's a quick read. Um,
Okay.
it's available on Amazon, Target, the website. I don't know if it's in Walmart yet. We could check, but I know it's on the website. So, but yeah, you could go on Amazon or maybe your mom and pop bookstore, check it out. But yeah, Solomon Dog, officially
Okay.
released today,
And
July
happy release
23rd.
day.
Thank you
Book
so
release
much.
day. And that's always exciting.
Thank you. And I think
Yeah,
Oh,
y'all
I love this thing.
all
Yeah.
right.
okay. Well, thanks
You
for
keep
being a
on the
guest on the
story
show.
and let's
All
stay
right.
in touch because we're connected on Instagram. So we got to stay in touch.
I will, definitely will. All right, y'all. Have a
Take
nice
Okay.
night,
care.
baby.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.